when people see the gold medal, they see one person, but they don't see the entire team that was standing behind me.
Tell me your definition of teamwork.
It's sacrificing personal recognition in pursuit of a shared purpose. If you're willing to surrender, your preferences for a bigger purpose than yourself.
And that's part of the ego piece you've got to get rid of, right? It's not about you, it's about the team.
The pressures, the challenges doesn't really create the culture, it reveals the culture.
I think that relationship piece is very critical. They want the teamwork without the relationship building.
The big threat in teamwork is...
Hey, Stephen Childs. I think the first thing that I'm going to do is introduce the podcast and the purpose for the podcast. And we have a really cool name, Driving Synergy. It's the name of the podcast. And the purpose for the podcast is we've really tried to figure out how we start operating globally. And I don't know that we've got that figured out quite yet, but we've got a lot of really great things happening at Panasonic Automotive globally. And the problem is most of that actually stays locally in the different regions, including PASA. So this podcast is actually designed to change that. So we're creating this podcast to be able to share information, learning, best practices, really cool moments, how people are actually building great teams, driving cultures. And we're going to start this podcast out with teamwork. We're going to try to take each podcast and direct it back to a 90-day sprint on one of our values. And since we just finished up the 90-day sprint on teamwork, what a better way to start than starting with teamwork for this podcast? And what better way to do that than to start our inaugural podcast with somebody who has basically lived teamwork his whole life, and that is Al Mead. Hey, Al.
Hey.
Welcome.
How are you, Stephen?
Yeah, good. So I'm going to do an introduction, and I don't want to mess up this introduction because it's so impressive, even when I was putting it down on paper. So Al has lived teamwork, as I mentioned, at the highest levels on the world stages, and Paralympic gold medalist in civic community leadership, and as someone who has spent 26 years building trust across every kind of boundary that you can imagine. I've known you for a number of years. We served on a board together, working in the community, and I'm pretty fired up for this conversation, to kick it off. So again, Paralympic gold medalist, setting world records in the long jump in the 1988 Seoul Games, came back 4 years later in Barcelona, won a silver, and then stood on the world stage in the closing ceremonies. This seems like it would be probably the most nerve-wracking part of what you've done, but sang in front of the entire world as part of that closing ceremony. And that was just kind of the kickoff to your involvement and how deep you've gotten into working in the community, serving as vice chairman of the Atlanta Paralympic Organizing Committee, CBS sports commentator for the games, inducted into the Georgia Sports Hall of Fame, U.S. Track and Field Georgia Hall of Fame, and the Atlanta Sports Hall of Fame. Maybe Podcast Hall of Fame before all this is over with. But that makes you a perfect guest. And, and over those 26 years, you've been building teams across some of the hardest terrain I can think of, bridging different churches, schools, businesses, elected officials, community organizations in Fayette County, Georgia, serving as the president of Georgia chapter for the U.S. Olympian and Paralympic Alumni Association and board president for Trilith Live. Yeah. So where do you find all the time, Al? Man, this is it's pretty
amazing.
Packed.
Well, when you listen to that, I wonder how I find the time as well. But obviously you have a great time. And I'm in my passion when I'm engaged in the community on a variety of levels. So it's not like work. I love connecting with people. I love connecting with community. I love to utilize my gifts and my skills for the betterment of the community in a variety of ways. And so for that reason, time flies, actually.
When you do what you love, it never feels like work.
Right? You're exactly right.
So certainly, man, we even brought bling for the table.
We did. I mean,
so tell us about what we've got here. So
yeah. You see a couple of torches. The torch represents the 1996 games, both on the Olympic side and the Paralympic side. I was one of the few who carry both torches.
Oh, is that right?
During either the torch relay or the opening ceremonies. And
See, I didn't have that written in here. I'm going to have to add that to the thing.
I'll add it to our conversation for sure. And then you have the gold medal, in which I won in the Seoul, Korea Games, 1988 Seoul Games Paralympics. And then the silver medal, the 1992 Barcelona Games. Got a story as to why I didn't get the gold in there too.
You got to tell me that story.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
All right, we're going to get back to that story. I'm not going to let that one drop.
Yeah.
So, given the fact that we're starting this on teamwork, tell me your definition of teamwork.
Yeah, I think my definition is pretty simple. It's sacrificing personal recognition in pursuit of a shared purpose. And basically no one succeeds alone. And so when you sacrifice that individual recognition, it's about me for a goal of a shared purpose, then I think I know that you see teamwork come alive, for sure. And, when people see the gold medal, they see one person, but they don't see the entire team that was standing behind me in order to achieve what I achieved in this case, in sports.
Yeah, talk about that a little bit, because again, we have some amazing individual contributors in our organization.
Yeah.
And it's easy to kind of lean on some of those people for the great work that they do.
Yeah.
But there's no way we as a company are going to be successful. Probably they're not going to be successful without the bigger team behind them, no matter what role they play in the organization. Yeah. So tell me a little bit about how much that mattered to you as somebody who's going out in this individual sport. Yeah. Obviously, walking into an Olympic stadium with a full Olympic team, you feel like teammates.
Yeah, yeah.
But I mean, you've got trainers, you've got coaches, you've got family members, the community supporting you. So all that is a big team. So tell me what that really means to your success.
Even though my track and field events were individual sports. Without question, it wasn't a solo event. It was about a team. It's a team story for me. People know me as gold medalist, silver medalist, Paralympian. They know my other accomplishments and achievements, but with every accomplishments and even achievements were parents, were mentors, were teachers, were leaders, were the community. And in my case, as an above-knee amputee Paralympian, there were the prosthetists of prosthetics that took me from a level of just walking with a prosthetic leg to a level of competing on a world level. I had my leg amputated when I was 9 years old, third grade. And it was on the day of the Martin Luther King funeral services that they let out school. And my mom and dad just bought a house down the street from this beautiful park for their son to achieve in athletics. And I went up for a rebound and came down pretty hard on the pavement. That resulted a few days later in a blood clot infection. And I was later found myself, the doctor telling my mom that they would have to amputate my leg in order to save my life. And so an amputation at the ankle, then below the knee, and then finally above the knee. And so that was the start of my my athletic achievements, in the sense of not giving up, taking the word can't out of my vocabulary, creating a winning attitude, the teamwork that was needed in order for me to get back on my feet, if you will. And so that was the start of the rest of my life, where it began with something that was pretty tragic, but it ended with opportunities where I was able to share success in spite of the odds, if you will.
I talk a lot about sort of the neuroscience of elite performance. So this injury, especially at such a young age, what was the gap of, oh man, this just happened to me, versus how do I figure out how to turn the tragedy? Which, again, if you look at generally most people that have some really profound success, if you go back, there was something that kind of drove them to that, which was probably some level of tragedy. So what kind of gap was that for you, and how long did it take you to go, okay, I'm not giving up?
It happened over time. I can remember when I came home as an amputee before I got my prosthetic leg. And I used to be the fastest kid before my amputation. And I remember crutching it down the street from my house, looking at the beautiful park there, and wondering, wow, what's going to happen to me now? And I say that God sent an angel of a lady who was driving by, and I'm sitting on this fire hydrant. And she parks her car and says, "Come on, kid, don't give up," literally.
Wow.
And I said, well, what am I supposed to do? There are no hopping contests across the street. She said, "You could do something. You used to run all over this place." And she was right. So I got my bike and got that bike out of the garage. And I learned how to ride that bike with one leg. Push the pedal down, pull it up, all with one leg. And eventually, and I fell, and I got back up, and I fell, and I got back up. And I use the analogy of that too, that things may happen to you, things may happen around you, but what matters the most is what happens inside of you. I can remember getting my daughter one of these punching bags for Christmas, and it was a Fred Flintstone version. And, you know, she punch it and it bounces back. And I said, "Honey, come on, knock Fred down." And she kept knocking Fred, you know, and Fred bounces back. She said, "Daddy, how come I can't keep Fred down?" I said, "Because there's something on the inside of Fred, just like there was something on the inside of Daddy that kept me bouncing back." And that was that winning attitude, which was a great asset, as well as having a team around you to keep pushing you to get back up. And take that word "can't" out of your vocabulary.
Yeah, keeping your mind right is not an easy task.
Yes, and I tell you too, my first prosthetic leg, the prosthetist says, "Take it easy. It's not finished. Just walk with it." And so what I did was I played football the first day. Broke it.
The first day.
And kids start freaking out. Like, "We told you not to play. You're going to get hurt." But you know, I picked up my foot and hopped back at home and told him I'd be back. And sure enough, the prosthetist said, "Okay, obviously, I'm going to need to catch your vision and keep up with you."
Build something a little tougher for Al at this point.
And he did. He went back to the drawing board every time. And as a result, he made him faster, stronger. And that was closing the gap of being able to not just get back on my feet, but to also get back in action in a way where I was able to play and compete with able-bodied kids as well. Yeah, so that in itself was a theme that carried all the way through my Paralympic Olympic days. That even the gold medal may be an individual award, but there was no doubt a team achievement involved in that accomplishment of the people who were around me and supported me.
Yeah. So kind of go back to that moment when you won the gold medal.
Yeah.
What did you think about? Did you, I mean, because that was, again, going from sitting on a fire hydrant where the lady comes by and say, not give up.
Yeah.
To the person that somebody now is getting, this gold medal put around their neck at the Olympics. That had to be quite a surreal moment.
It was. And, I got to a point where I was the fastest above knee amputee in the world. I'd never lost a 100-meter race as an above knee amputee. And you're wondering, well, why didn't you get the gold in the 100-meter? Well, in Seoul Games, I just knew that I was going to get the gold in the 100-meter. And 15 meters into the race, my hydraulic unit of my prosthetic leg breaks.
So you go back to your old habits of breaking your prosthetics.
And the big show. And my competition leaves me, obviously, and I walk on the side toward the stands. And my mom runs down the stadium steps to make sure you're okay. And I said, I'm good. But that medal had my name on it. And she said, you're still my hero. And I said, Mom, don't give me that mushy stuff. That's supposed to have been my medal. But she said, you know what? You got the long jump left. You trained, you prepared. And I said, well, I never medaled internationally. I'm the best in the U.S. She said, that's okay. Go for it. 3 days later, I go for it in the long jump. And my prosthetist made sure that everything was in place. Of course, when you in the Paralympics, it's like a pit stop.
I'm sure. Yeah. There's your team, right?
There's my team. You're exactly right. And in the first 3 rounds, my competition breaks the world record, even in the long jump. And I remember a quote that says, when your back is up against the wall, don't even give up then, because that's the time and the place that the tide could turn. And sure enough, after that 3rd round in the 4th jump, I ran down that runway as if I was going to jump over the sand pit. It felt like I did, and I broke that world record in an event that I didn't think that I would even medal in. And as a result, came away with the gold medal. And it's because of the teamwork of my encouragement from my parents, the prosthetist who was there, the coaches, the team representing the USA, all of that came into play. And so that's why I say that, yes, individual recognition, but no doubt the achievement was about team and the teamwork.
Yeah, and the fire hydrant kid, never give up attitude,
and
right?
never giving up. And as well, you had to keep in mind, too, as a kid that broke his leg, playing with kids who didn't really want you on their team in the first place. And they gave me an opportunity, they gave me a chance, and that was the rehab vehicle, if you will, or platform that allowed me to engage in higher performances of sports because I had a community who supported me. There was no opportunities to meet other amputees like you have today, and you have these groups of encouragement. I was born and raised in Chicago, and there was a school of hard knocks on the South Side. But because of the community that I lived in, was incredible supportive in a team way that without them, there's no way that I would have achieved what I've achieved today, for sure.
Yeah. A true team that extends beyond the coaches and beyond even the family members, right?
Absolutely, family member, and
deep into the community at that point.
Through the good and the bad, the ugly, because even my mom and dad, whenever your kid comes home and you're walking around the house and ball bearings are falling over the floor and your foot is going sideways and you're squeaking all over the place. And they never said, boy, if you don't sit down and quit breaking them legs, I don't know what we're going to do. No, they
just keep it going.
Keep it going. And they went back to the drawing board with the prosthetist, and he did everything he could. And he did. And eventually when I came here to Atlanta, I connected with a Georgia Tech technician and prosthetist who just took it to a whole nother technical level. And that's where I was also involved in the evolution of what you see today with the high-tech legs, the carbon fiber.
Yeah, talk about that a little bit too, right? Talk about game-changing.
Yeah. Well,
not just mobility, but elite mobility for
absolutely.
these types of games.
Yeah. And of course, the Paralympics is the games for physical elite athletes with physical disabilities, and so I had the opportunity to be able to also be that athlete in which these technicians in the research and development of prosthetics utilize athletes in order to go to the next level. And so I had the opportunity to test equipment, like in this case, what's called the flex foot, because it actually stored 90% of the energy that you put into it and flexes you back into your stride. And it has gotten so technical. The challenge now with the Olympic and the Paralympic world is closing the gap such where now they're talking about, is there advantages in even having the high-tech feet in comparison to the able-bodied athletes. So it's gotten to that.
That's quite a turnaround.
It really is. Yeah. And so now I learned something about teamwork that was a challenge for me, in that when you become the gold medalist, the best in the world, never getting beat, as this technology is growing, my team said, yes, I know that you're the best and you're the world record holder, but you need to take advantage of this technology. And I didn't. In the Barcelona games, I was the world record holder, gold medalist, defending champion from '88 all the way up to Barcelona.
I've got this kind of attitude.
I got it. But the team said, yes, but you could do better. And I said, well, bring those other athletes. We're going to do it again. And sure enough, thousands packed the Barcelona stadium. They called my name, and you know, in track and field, especially with the long jump, they clap like this in anticipation, and then when you go down the runway, they clap faster. You pop the bar, and I broke the world record right there in my first jump. But the next jump's my competition, using the new technology, taking advantage, broke that
listening
world record,
listening to the team,
and he beat me by this much. But I said, you know what, I could get that. My next 5 jumps, I missed it by this much, and what I learned, you know, from the teamwork. Sometimes it's not always good to do your best. You got to do what's required. And what was required was to take advantage of the teamwork, not to pursue your own personal goals. And the big threat in teamwork is ego, challenging, conflicting agendas. Or lack of trust. I didn't trust my team, as well as poor communication in other areas. And so I learned a lot in that silver medal, where I apply in everyday life that sometimes it's not always good just to do your best, but do what's required, do what the team has, take advantage of the teamwork that's been established, and you can't do it alone. You got to stick with the team.
The accumulated knowledge of that team, and you got to leverage it. Right?
Absolutely, you do.
Yeah. Again, I think we fall short quite a bit. Again, we've got some really great individual contributors. Yeah. We have leaders that I think in some cases, and you know, I've been subject to this myself, where you think you have the answers.
Yeah.
right? So you almost rather share your answer
Yeah.
than spend time pulling different answers out of your team members and realizing that, okay, the team had better
Yeah.
answers for where we need to go next. You just had to spend the time and really work the team and work the answers out of the team.
Absolutely.
And that's part of the ego piece you've got to get rid of, right? It's not about you, it's about the team.
That's right.
And spending time trying to just making sure you're doing the right things, having the right conversations. We have this saying, it's all about the conversation.
Okay.
But if you don't have it, you're not going to get this collective wisdom that can kind of propel the whole team forward. So
Yeah.
that's in your case, a hard metal lesson more
Yes,
learned.
It was.
But for us, it could be, millions of dollars on the table that if you don't spend the time doing it right,
Yeah.
you could waste a lot of time and money.
Yeah. No, there's no doubt. I think a lot of that would apply to when I went from performer to leader. And that big transition happened during during the 1996. It was after the Barcelona, and all the lessons and principles that entailed. I was even co-captain of the USA team, and as you read, sung in the closing ceremonies. Was vice chair of the games, welcoming everybody from Barcelona to Atlanta. And so here I was in the midst of a transition of being an athlete and an organizer. And that was really hard.
Spotlight to behind the scenes.
To behind the scenes, and sometimes spotlight in advocating. Up until the 1996 games, the Paralympic side and the Olympic side didn't work as a team. And it was apparent when you went to visit other countries like Barcelona and Seoul, where their Olympic organizing committee and the Paralympic side, they worked hand in hand. Well, that wasn't the case here in the USA. And part of it was because when it came to disabilities, the United States Olympic Committee at the time embraced, rightfully so, the Special Olympics, which was very huge and important. But there was this other side, the Paralympics, of those with elite athletes of physical disabilities. And they didn't feel compelled to support the Paralympics as much as they did the Special Olympics. And so we were kind of the lone rangers doing the Paralympic organizing a little bit by ourselves, trying to be in line with the Olympics, especially hosting it in Atlanta. And so it took a lot of teamwork on the Paralympic side to convince the Olympics the right thing to do is to host the world together, which was a huge challenge. There was a lot of issues of sponsorship and conflict and that sort of thing, as you could imagine. But eventually, we came together, and we made it work. But as a result of that hard work, that teamwork, that engagement, the listening, talking through, doing the right thing, how we are one team under the USA umbrella. The legacy of the 1996 Games is now the whole world, whoever bids for the Olympics, have to include the Paralympics. Now, instead of it being called the United States Olympic Committee, it's now the United States Olympic and Paralympic Committee. And so all the teams are under one umbrella. And so I love this illustration of the two torches crossed because the two torches were separate. And now they're together as a result of the teamwork of what happened in the 1996 experience. And as a result, and even being the president of the Georgia chapter of the Olympic and Paralympic Alumni Association. I'm the first Paralympian who actually chairs and president of a chapter like this in the whole country as a result. And so again, it took the teamwork, it took the perseverance, it took the listening, it took the exchange of looking outside of your personal preferences for the greater cause and the bigger vision and the bigger purpose that blesses everybody. And so what I learned, it taught me winning personally is one thing, but building a team that helps others win was even more rewarding. And that was the biggest experience that came out of teamwork from a board level, an executive level, that I learned very well through that experience.
Yeah, because you transitioned really well from talking about just general teamwork to building a really good team.
Yeah.
Right. And again, even for those teams internally, we're trying to build some teams globally. I think we get stuck in our individual work way too often.
Yeah.
And the WIFM, what's in it for me, versus what's in it for us globally.
Yeah.
And it's easy to point fingers. I mean, we actually did that internally, I think, even department to department, until we figured out that we need to work better as a team. We need to rely on a culture and some behaviors that are going to help us do that better.
Yeah.
And we made some significant transformation of how we manage a culture, how we talk to each other, how we rely on each other. And now we're basically going to have to do that again, but maybe even a little more difficult because it's global.
Yeah.
So you're not seeing people every day, but you have this one global mission of a team.
Yeah.
And right now it almost feels like you're kind of pointing the fingers.
Yeah.
You know, let us do this, or we should be involved in this, or you're hindering our progress, because we're looking at the individual companies and not the collective company.
And as you know, when you talk global, you're talking multicultural. You're talking diversity. That's what I experienced in the world stage of the Olympics and Paralympics. Even in the community in the USA, diversity, different cultures. But coming from being a performer to a leader, I really had a heart of bringing people together. And I believe diversity should not be an obstacle to teamwork. It should be a strength to teamwork. You just need to have a bigger purpose than yourself. You have to have a bigger purpose than the silo that you're in. And if you're on
how do you make that mental shift?
Yes. I mean, it's a lot of hard work. It really is. And it is all centered on what is the larger purpose, where, again, teamwork definition is sacrificing the individual recognition in pursuit of a shared purpose. And when you land foundationally on a shared purpose, then you begin to make progress. But one of the things that I think that every team needs is trust. Trust is really huge. Without trust, there is no team. And 26, 30 years of bringing a community together, leaders together, churches. Trust was the common denominator. Trust is foundational to a great team. And so the pressures, the challenges doesn't really create the culture. It reveals the culture. But if you're willing to surrender, your preferences for a bigger purpose than yourself, then I really think that you can make headway into a successful culture of teamwork, not just where you are locationally, but even globally as well, and building that bridge. It's all about bridge building. It's all about give and taking. It's all about investing in relationships, developing relationships where there's a trust factor and it's foundational where we're in this together.
Yeah, I mean, I love that you bring up that relationship piece. Again, that tends to be a little difficult being, global.
Oh, yeah.
We're
It's
oceans
not easy.
apart in a lot of
You're right.
cases.
Yeah.
But even when I'm coaching some people internally, I'm like, spend the time on building those relationships, even if it's in a Teams meeting, right? Or making sure you're scheduling a trip.
Yeah.
And you're not just talking about work. You're trying to get to know the global team members.
Yeah.
You're asking, what can my team do to help support your team?
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
And just simple questions that start building that trust level.
Yeah.
That then, then you start building the bridges.
You're right.
I think that relationship piece is very critical. They want the teamwork without the relationship building. And I just say that from even having conversations with me and my team and the global HR team is, hey, why are we not communicating well?
Yeah.
What did you do to communicate different? And they're like, okay.
Yeah.
And I'll ask myself the same question, right? I get frustrated. I go, what did I do to not frustrate them?
Yeah.
And it's a hard thing to do, to look in the mirror and
Yeah.
realize that you have culpability in some of these communication and trust gaps, and you've got to figure out how to close it.
Yeah.
So just thinking through, giving some message to sort of the thousands of business people that we have that are kind of in this same position where they've been working sort of independently in regions, and now they're going to have to start building some of these global. You brought up some really good things that they could probably be doing.
Yeah.
But give them a piece of advice. What would you kind of leave them with to say, you got to build this bridge, and here's what you probably ought to think about?
I would say my biggest line or principle when it comes to building bridges, when it comes to teamwork, especially leaders of teams, invest in relationships before you need results. Invest in those relationships before you need results, because it's the relationships that develop trust. People give their best to people that they trust.
We're going to have to put that on a T-shirt, by the way. That's got to go on a T-shirt.
And when people give their best to people who they trust, then they also give to the purposes that they believe in as well. And so invest in relationships before you need results, and people give their best to people who they trust and believe in their purposes. And that has worked for me in every aspect of all the sectors that I'm involved in, whether it's sports, whether it's church, whether it's community, whether it's nonprofits, whether it's board. Trust is critical. And when you don't invest in relationships, then the greatest threats that derail teamwork is the ego factor, is the lack of trust factor. It could even be a competing agendas when you're not aligned because of what's in it for me and poor communication. But when you invest in relationships, then you begin to engage in what's common, where are we alike, but even diversity of opinions sometimes are a good thing. If I didn't get pushback, if I didn't engage in tough conversations, I wouldn't be where I am. But I trusted my team. I trusted the leaders. And when I didn't, I went from a gold medal to a silver medal. And so when you want to stay on top, you want to make sure, especially as a leader, that you invest in those relationships where they will give you the best of the best. They'll give you their best, and they'll also will engage in the very purposes of what this company is about, what this department is about, because it's a shared goal. And so yeah, that would be my wisdom and advice to the team.
So I'm going to throw you one curveball.
Uh-oh.
Because we didn't have it on any of our pieces of paper.
That's okay.
But one thing that I really appreciate about you, Al, is the way you carry yourself. A lot of authenticity. And, I've learned this over the years that the authenticity builds trust faster than anything. Yeah. So talk about that because, again, just knowing you and knowing how authentic you are and certainly that served you well. Yeah. But it sounds like you had to learn it a little bit too back in the day. But certainly ever since I've known you, that's the way you've carried yourself. So.
It has developed over time. As you can imagine, growing up in a city like Chicago as an amputee where you thought you were the only amputee in the whole city of Chicago, you wanted to be like others. And you were striving to prove yourself to others. And that went on for a while. But eventually I realized that that I was created in a unique way with unique gifts. Even the setbacks and the challenges that were before me was used to not just my benefit to excel, but it was also to the benefit of others. I have people coming up to me all the time, whether I was a kid growing up with them or an older adult, a college friend or whatever, said that you inspired me in so many ways because you were who you are. And I remember I was very shy. I would never wear shorts because I didn't want anybody to know that I had a prosthetic leg because I wanted to be like everybody else. And there was one day, it was in high school, that I was so proud to be at this high school in Hyde Park, Chicago. It was called Kenwood Academy. And I said, you know what, I'm just going to wear my shorts because like everybody else. And when I wore my shorts and walked into the gym, the whole gym stopped because they said, wow, is that what a prosthetic leg looks like? Is that what you've been playing with all along? And then I realized that who I am, when my authentic self, I was depriving them of opportunities, of encouragement, and what I could give back to as much as they were giving me. And it was a reciprocal exchange. Yeah. And ever since then, I said, I'm just going to be the Al Mead, that who I am. And I'm going to be fair to everyone as much as they were fair to me. And I'm going to encourage as much as I've been encouraged. And I've been living by that motto ever since. And that's the authentic me of where can I fill the gap? Where can I be the bridge? Where can I help? Where can I come alongside? Where can I be a team player, be a part of a team? And even if I have to lead a team, I'm not leading out of ego. I'm leading in utilizing people gifts and putting them in their sweet spots for the betterment of the team. Before I came into ministry or in community, I was an executive search consultant. And one of the skill sets of an executive search consultant is to find out where their gifts are, where their strengths are, putting them in a place where they can excel. And ever since then, I have learned how to do that in incredible ways. And if I could offer that to a community, to a church, to my family, to a board, I've done my job in a way where I'm doing everything that I was created to do.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So anything else? I know you got a lot going on. Obviously, we just read, this is just surface level Al right here. You want to know more about Al, where can they learn more about you? Is there anything else you want to share before we close it out?
Just Google Al Mead, and you'll find a lot of things about me. You could connect me with me at LinkedIn, Al Mead as well. If there's any encouragement that you need, I love encouraging groups. I love encouraging communities, and I'm looking to even go to next levels of community engagement in the future as well. So there's something coming down the road that I'm excited about in the community here that I can't share right now. But
It's a teaser ad,
it's a
so you got to
teaser.
follow
Yes,
Al
that's
just so
right.
you can
And,
find out what this new
but
thing is.
it fits my profile, my gifts of investing in the community and having a heart for the community, and even having a heart for the least of these in a special way. And that's how I give back also.
Well, I appreciate you giving back to us and sharing, and I think you certainly have been very encouraging to us, our audience, and we're glad you came and shared your thoughts. It's been great having a conversation with you.
Well, it's been a pleasure. It's always a pleasure with you,
Yeah, it's
Stephen.
always good seeing you, Al.
Good seeing you.
All right, take care. Thank you.